The handles. My wife and I have been together almost 30 years, and a month ago she told me that she didn't want to be married anymore. It was the old "I still love you but I'm not in love with you and it's not you, it's me." She said that we had grown apart and that she couldn't see spending the rest of her life with me. A week later she admitted to having an affair that had been ongoing for 6 months. He lived in another city but they both traveled on business and would meet up in different cities to spend nights together. I happened to see her phone one day and found a 40-message text thread. They claimed to love each other and were definitely physically involved. He found out that I found out who he was when I Googled him and read his profile on LinkedIn, at which time he ended the relationship with my wife because he didn't want his wife to find out. My wife was pissed at me because I looked at her phone and that he ended their affair so abruptly. She also said that the affair had nothing to do with why she wanted to end our marriage. I think perhaps it emboldened her to want to move on and enjoy life as a single woman. We went for couples counseling, and in our second session, my wife also admitted to a one-night stand several years ago but claimed that it didn't mean anything as it was only a one-night stand. When the therapist asked if she had any other intimate relationships with other guys, my wife said that she had lots of opportunities, but only did it with these 2 guys. We just separated a week ago and are trying to figure things out. My wife has said that she's not sure if moving on is the right thing and that she may be making the biggest mistake of her life. I hate her for what she's done to me and to our family, and that she could be so uncaring for our relationship as to sleep with 2 other guys, one of whom she was sleeping with for 6 months and claimed to love. The problem is that I still love her more than life itself and think that I may be able to get past what she's done because we have almost 30 years invested in our relationship. I think I can forgive her but know that I will never forget what she did. How can I ever trust her again? My wife has always been a very selfish person. It's always been about her and what she wants. Even if we get past all of this and reconcile, how do I ever trust her again? If she's working late in the city, traveling on business, or has a dinner meeting, how do I know that she hasn't slipped into another affair or is screwing some random guy? I am the jealous type and this is driving me crazy. She now tells me that she is sorry that she told me the truth about her affair and her one-night stand. Apparently lying came easy to her. No matter how good things are with her in the future, I will always have that nagging doubt in my mind. She tells me that she had the affair because she was filling a void. She's a narcissist and needs constant adoration by others. She has told me so many times over the years how many guys have hit on her because she is so beautiful and successful. I worry that no matter what I do to make her happy, that some guy will smile at her, tell her wonderful things, and they will end up in bed together. I think it will drive me crazy for the rest of my life. Should I move on? Is it possible to ever trust her again? The logical side of me says end the relationship and find someone who will be much more of a giver. My wife has always been a taker. The romantic side of me says I've loved her for 30 years and even though I know it's crazy, I can't stop. We have been living in separate bedrooms for the past 3 weeks and she just moved to her own apartment last weekend. I won't rat the other guy out to his wife as she's done nothing wrong, and it's not my place to make her miserable. There are other issues with the 2 of them, but as long as it's over, and I'm sure it is, it's no longer an issue. I agree that my wife checked out a long time ago. She said that this has been a long time in coming, and that she must have so little respect for me to be able to easily do this with the long-term affair partner. After she admitted the affair to me but before I found out the details, she would text him right in front of me, and when I'd complain and tell her that she needed to end the affair, she'd tell me not to push her to make a choice as I wouldn't like the choice that she would make. I know I allowed myself to be a doormat for her, but love makes you do funny things. Comment: you've been married for 30 years. You know your wife is selfish, narcissist, needs constant adoration by others, cheated on you twice, that you know of. Got angry at you for messing with your affair because she is filling a void. She considers doing you a favor by only having 2 affairs out of all the offers she had from other men. She still works at the job that allows her to travel and cheat. Why do you think after all this time she will suddenly change her tune for 30 years? Actions speak louder than words. You say you love her more than life itself. Why? How has she deserved that love? You put her on a pedestal and all she does is take a dump on you from above. You know you are a doormat and continue to love a woman who doesn't love you. Also, you won't do what's necessary to end the affair by exposing the affair to the OM's wife. If you do, your wife already told you she'll leave you. This marriage is over and you're in denial. Your low self-esteem makes you do stupid things. OP responds: OMW is pregnant and has almost lost the baby several times, from what my wife tells me. I'd hate to be responsible for pushing her over the edge, if that is indeed the case. Told my wife that he was in a loveless marriage and that he had planned to leave his wife. Isn't that always the case? But then his wife tricked him into having another baby. Sounds like a Lifetime movie. With her pregnant, he couldn't leave her. That said, when he found out that I knew who he was, he dropped my wife like a hot potato. He said that he couldn't afford to put his pregnant wife at risk. I say that it was all fun and games until he was at risk of getting caught. It's so strange that you think you know your wife so well after almost 30 years together. If you had asked me 2 months ago if I ever thought she was capable of this, I would have said absolutely not. Of course, once I learned about it, I thought back to all the years we have been together. A good friend reminded me of a time around 15 years ago that she had come back from a late-night dinner meeting in town. She had a napkin that she had thrown out in our trash that I read. The note said, "You look so hot in that outfit, I bet every guy here wants to get into your ex, John." I confronted my wife about the napkin and she said that it was just a joke from a friend who was at the dinner and was pretty drunk. I guess I should have learned from that lesson, and her comments over the years about how many guys have hit on her. The intellectual side of me says that I can never, ever trust her again, because once you are a liar and a cheat, you will always be a liar and a cheat. There is no way to put the toothpaste back in the tube. The emotional side of me says that this is the woman I've spent 30 years with, who is the mother of my 2 kids, both in their 20s, and that I have loved every day for 3 decades. I hope time, counseling, and advice will bring clarity to the situation. I was enough of a sucker that I did help her move her stuff to her new place. I know that in order for her to use me, I had to enable her and allow myself to be used. That's what I see as doing for me. In every relationship, the give and take are never 50-50. I guess in our relationship, it was more like 99-1. Amazing how love turns our brains into mush. In answer to the question about who is paying for her apartment, right now we both still deposit our paychecks into our joint account and pay all bills together, so the answer is that we are both paying for our house and her apartment. Funny thing is that when she wanted to end the relationship, she asked me to move out and I responded, "NFW, it's my house too and I've done nothing wrong." For the first few weeks when we were in this funny in-between state, she lived in a bedroom in our basement with a very uncomfortable bed, which I was happy about. I know that I should move on, but at this point I'm not ready to leave 30 years behind. I agree with everything that's been said here about her having taken advantage of me our whole relationship, but I do believe that there was some good somewhere in our marriage. As our kids are in their 20s, they are not a concern, other than that we haven't told them yet and that they will both be hurt by it. Not sure if I will throw my wife under the bus with the kids, telling them that she was sleeping with 2 other guys while we were married. At some point I probably will be that nasty, especially if my wife is difficult in the divorce. The challenge that we have in the divorce is that I'm actually the one entitled to alimony. We both make a good living, but she makes twice as much as I do, and where I live, the law is very clear that I'm owed alimony, even though I'm male not female. I deserve alimony, especially after what she's done. Of course, this is made even more difficult by the fact that she invited me to dinner this Sunday night at her new apartment, and we may go to the movies on Saturday night. The smart person in me says that I should say no, but the emotional person in me isn't ready to let go yet. Very confusing to say the least. Ironically, we are scheduled to spend a week in Florida at a condo that we own for Christmas and New Year's with our daughter. As of now, we are still planning on going. We are getting along, but I realize that means nothing, especially since she finds it so easy to use me. She is keeping her options open. Why not have your cake and eat it too? I want clarity and most likely to move on without her. I'm just so torn about leaving a 30-year relationship without even trying. Although no matter how hard I try, there will always be that question of whether she's doing what she wants for her and not for me or for us. She keeps telling me how sorry she is, and how she's so ashamed and can't live with herself. However, she found it pretty easy to sleep with him on a regular basis and not just have a physical relationship but a deep emotional connection too. Days later, I have already interviewed several lawyers and expect to pull the trigger on the other guy. Lives halfway across the country and he knows that I know who he is, where he lives, and all of the details about the affair. He is scared to death that I will tell his wife, so he's not going to do anything more with my wife as it would endanger his other life. Yes, my wife has always had the upper hand in our relationship. Shame on me for enabling her to do so. As we have entered the latest phase, since telling me she doesn't want to be with me anymore, anytime I tell her how hurt I am, or push her for details on what happened, her answer is, "You are pushing me away. If you want any chance of reconciliation, leave me alone." It's clear that she's using her power over me to get what she wants. With regard to her newfound independence, living in her own place, I agree that there's a risk that she now finds her next one-night stand or affair partner. I have told her that if there is anyone else in the picture at this point going forward, we are done and done. That said, I can't trust her to be honest. She's already proven to be such a skilled liar. She's going to do what she's going to do. I clearly need to move on. When I have told her how the thoughts of what she did with the other guys haunt me, she said it's not my issue and that I shouldn't go there. How can I not go there? We had an okay bonding life, not good, not great, just okay. Meanwhile, she had wild, passionate bonding with her one-night stand 5 years ago, and with her AP for a 6-month period. How fun it must be to only meet up every few weeks, spend the night in a hotel, have only the good times, never deal with all of the day-to-day crap in life, and then leave until the next time. Try to put up with 30 years of your wife asking, "Am I fat?" She's very skinny, or her saying I'm not good enough, when she knows how successful she's been. As I told her, OM never had to answer the question about whether he thought she was fat. After all, the only thing he wanted was a good time. Talking with my therapist, I have absolute clarity. As much as I will always love her, despite what she did to me, I realize that I can never, ever trust her again. Even tonight when we were supposed to talk about something, she didn't answer the phone and my first assumption was that she was out with some other guy. I'll never get over that feeling that she will betray me again and again. I wish there could be a different outcome, but she caused this problem and I have to move on. Comments. Affairs thrive in the darkness, in secrecy. When you expose, you shine the light of day on them, and it makes things very uncomfortable for the AP. They are now bombarded on all sides by friends, family, co-workers, etc. It shatters the affair and sometimes it takes them up to reality. This is often when the WS has that "what the hell was I doing" moment and begins to see that the BS is really not the person they made them out to be when they rewrote the marriage and demonized the faithful spouse. They now have two choices: try to R or move toward D. If D is the path, then they just want it over as quickly as possible so that people will stop asking them about it. If exposure isn't done, nobody knows, so nobody asks, therefore no pressure. The AP can continue in their comfy little fantasy. Additionally, APs often support and embolden one another. One will often support the other and give advice as to how to take the faithful spouse to the cleaners. By exposing, you remove that evil support network. By exposing, you also clue friends and relatives in on the reason for the D. They are less likely to support the WS in their fight against the BS. In short, exposure isolates the WS and makes them very uncomfortable. They will often be more willing to compromise just so they can move away from the fire and get off the hot seat. OP responds, "I will tell the OMW about it. I guess it will feel good, and I agree that I would have wanted to know." Few weeks later, I pulled the trigger and filed for divorce on December 28. I came to realize that there is no way to reconcile and that I'd never trust her again and believe she will cheat again. I'm moving forward without her and actually feel great about it. I no longer look back and have stopped thinking about what she's doing and who she is with. My friends cheered my pulling the trigger. My STBX was surprised how quickly I did it. I told her I didn't like being in limbo, and if we weren't going to reconcile, we might as well get through the divorce ASAP. She wasn't happy about it, but the balance of power has definitely shifted in my favor. I still haven't told the OMW because I want to keep that for whatever leverage I can in the divorce, if needed. My comment, OP, was frustrating at first, but he listened to people and counselor around him. He knew he couldn't change her, but he can only change himself. What a sweet story. Story 2. I'm just starting my third week away from my wife of 13 years, together for 20, since we were in our teens, and it's haunting me. Our story is this. We got together young and were each other's first proper partners. We have 4 great kids and all seemed okay until a few years ago. Basically, things got a bit stale and she began drinking, never having done so before. Before we knew it, she was an alcoholic doing 20 bottles of bud a day, and blamed me for it. She said I'd be a selfish husband and never joined in with things she wanted to do. She was right, I wasn't a bad husband. Just no way good enough, but it was too late and her drinking became worse as she blamed me more and more. After doing, and relapsing, a couple of private detoxes, we realized we had to split. I was crushing her with my constant worrying about her drinking, which made her drink. It was spiraling out of control. So, I left 3 weeks ago. The last couple of weeks were very bad and she said she hated me and never wanted to get back. But she was very drunk a lot of the time. Since the split we have chatted, only by email, and only about the kids, money divided by etc. She did have a few drunk, angry emails in the first week, but they died down and she even suggested catching up in a few weeks would be nice, but odd. So right now, I'm in an apartment on my own, with my kids every other weekend, and she's at home. She seems able to resist me much better than I can her. I asked her if she wanted to grab a coffee and she simply emailed back that it was too soon. My 17-year-old daughter has chatted with her and asked her if she wanted to try again with me. She told her she didn't know. So, what do? I know she needs space to work on her drinking, and she is doing loads better, I hear, from the kids. She has a lot of friends that have gathered around her. She finally admitted to some of them she was a drunk. Pity she didn't do it when I was trying to help her on my own. Do I ignore her and get on with my life? Do I drop in a casual a coffee once a week? I don't want to see 20 years go up in smoke. Will space let her miss me or forget me? I know all the stuff about looking after me, but I just feel that if I saw her having a great time it would hurt. Bit of a mess right now. I just sent her an email agreeing that the coffee idea was too soon, but I was just missing chatting with her. No response. Clearly, I need to go no contact on her. I can easily see her sitting at home thinking he's still hassling me via text. But when is it okay to drop her a text and just say hi, wanna grab that coffee? I thought if I wait 2 more weeks that will be a month. It's crazy. In the last 20 years we haven't gone more than a few days without speaking. I haven't seen her face or heard her voice in 2 weeks and it's terrible. So, 2 more weeks. She did say, in one of her emails, that a good catch-up would be nice in a few weeks. Also, I am torn between helping her and wanting her to feel the consequences of her actions. She is a partner in my business, but that's only for the tax break. She does about 5% of the work, just a few hours a week. We make very good money and it just gets split between us. So right now, she has no money issues. Although I did see on her online bank statement I can still view that she paid £1,000 to her alcohol recovery therapist, which is wonderful, really. If I wanted, I could drop her from the business and make life very hard. Or I just leave things as they are for now. I'm conflicted. On the one hand, I know she is feeling lost and sad and wanting to recover, and let down by her family. So, I want her in a secure environment. On the other hand, she has the house, car, kids, plenty of money. I know she is sad, but her life has not been upturned like mine. Her biggest problems are that she can't work the TV media center. I have to watch YouTube to learn how to press a shirt. I was even tempted to transfer her half the therapy bill. Her illness, our problem, I thought. And on Thursday my new car arrives. Ordered just before the breakup, a brand new Roadster. I don't know how she'll take that. She knew it was coming. We ordered a people carrier 7-seater and this. She also has her own little Ford Puma. As a family we would have shared them all. Now she gets the wagon and I get the Roadster and the wagon when I have the kids. Will she see it and think he's happy and moved on? I want him or that bastard is blowing cash on that thing. Trust me, I'd swap it to be back in my house. So conflicted. I suppose I'm worried that some of the no contact let them see what they lost stuff on here may not work on someone so lost in herself, and really sad. She is in a real mess right now and I genuinely believe she may still want it to work. One of her emails around the time I left was her saying how sad she was and that I wanted to love you forever. The drinking, and my hassling her to stop, was an addiction for both of us. I don't feel like beating on her for something she had so little control over. She didn't throw me out. She said we could have gone to separate rooms and stayed in the same house, but we were just crushing each other. I'd see her drink and have to say stop, which would make her drink more, and spiral out of control. I was selfish. I spent a lot on my own hobbies. I didn't involve myself in her activities. She had plenty of friends' weddings she went to alone because I didn't fancy it. But she knows I know, and she knows, for the last 6 months I have tried like mad. It's a case of too little too late. She knows I am trying but no longer feels enough for me to make it work. Now the question is how much of that is real and how much the drink is screwing with her. And, what now? At the moment I see the kids every other weekend, and help out in between if needed. She'd happily let me see them all the time. Should I do that? Should I ask to take them out for an hour or so on days that aren't mine? She'd be more than happy for that to happen. The boys are 6, 9, 12 and my daughter 17. I see my girl a few times a week. She's old enough to come by mine when she likes. She is great, but is having a hard time being caught in all this. My boys are okay. I see them once every other week but it's flexible. Today the 12-year-old had basketball trials a 1-hour drive away. My wife had plans with a friend to pop round so I took him, and the 9-year-old, so I see them okay. And they Skype me all the time. They just want their mom and dad back in the same house. I'm sure my wife does too. She just doesn't want to spend the next 40 years with me, not loving me, if that's how she feels. She does want space. I crushed her these last few months and she needed me out of her face. But for 20 years prior I wasn't good enough. So, what now? How do I balance space and love? My plan was to have no contact. But on Thursday I will drop her car round that I've been using while waiting for my new one. I will do so very early, keys in the letterbox, and won't see her. I was going to leave a framed cartoon print of the car in it for her with a little note saying thanks for the loan of car. I know you missed it. She loves the little car. So, is a week of space then a small gift okay? Too much? Too needy? In the last 6 months I have genuinely become a new man. If I don't get her back, the next wife will have a great husband. Her New Year's Eve drunk kiss was a huge reality check. I have done more laundry in the last 6 months than the previous 20 years combined. We have also done stuff together. Even as it was falling apart, we went to a music gig and stuff we would not have done before. She sees the new me. She just doesn't know if she loves me still, other than the almost family love she has for me having been together so long. She was 16 when we met. 20 years ago. I am looking after myself. I am seeing family and friends more. Working out a lot. When she met me, I was a gym coach. Over the years I became an out-of-shape financial consultant. Money, but not what she hooked up with. I am, almost, back to the shape I was in at 19 when I met her. I suppose my only outstanding questions right now are, do I leave the small picture, gift in the car on Thursday? Do I ask to see the kids more, as in, before next Friday when I have them for the weekend? Do I ask for coffee again? I suppose she has to ask me at some point. Our youngest is in a local theater play in July and she booked tickets for us all, and asked if I'd like to go with them to Pizza Hut before the show. So, she does want us to be able to do family stuff at some stage. In fact, it was hearing that which prompted me to do the coffee request too soon. As for the affair, it is always possible, but here's the history. In 2020 she got into a habit of late-night texting with one of our kids' basketball coaches. It never got overtly physical but was certainly over the line for a married woman. During this time, she never saw him without the kids present. It was limited to late night, while she was wasted on beer. When I found out, she was mortified. In fact, when I read to her what she said, I copied it of her Facebook account. She was mortified. She'd even said that stuff. She was so drunk she couldn't remember doing half of it. Since that day she has avoided the guy 100% and regrets it completely. In fact, she pretty much stopped going anywhere that he might be, which meant I did all the kids' taxi runs to basketball training. Then, New Year's Eve, she was angry at me, feeling low, wasted, and kissed a random stranger. He texted her the next day. She said no. Since then, she has hardly left the house. She never goes out without her friends, who are also friendly with me and would never hide from me that she was seeing someone. On the few occasions she goes out, the photos from that night will be all over Facebook. It's her and mates. She isn't hiding anything. So, the only possible is that she is having an emotional affair, by text, with a man she kissed once, while drunk, 5 months ago. That's possible. But if you could see how much effort she has to put into staying sober, I think you'd agree her emotional discount from me is due to beer, not another man. There's really nothing I can spy on. She doesn't go out. When she does, she doesn't go alone. As I said, a text relationship is possible, but just makes zero sense to start something when she knows she is at an all-time low with a guy she met for 10 minutes and is deeply embarrassed about. And thinking about it, does it matter right now? She has no option to escalate to a P. She simply doesn't go out enough, and any deviation would be obvious to all the people that are surrounding her to help with her drinking. So, I can't do anything, even if I found out she was texting, and as I've said, I know her, I know where she's at, and I can't see it's possible. I don't mean, oh, I trust her, I just mean, it's not possible. Had a very good chat with her brother's wife. She hasn't really spoken to them since I went, as she knows I told them about the drink and she feels embarrassed, angry at that. Anyway, bro's wife is removed enough from my ex to be impartial. She said that she sees my ex throwing herself into all sorts of DIY jobs in a bid to keep her mind busy. She is working on the drink, but we both agree she isn't there yet, as she hasn't taken full responsibility for it being her problem. The DIY lets her focus on other stuff. There will come a time she runs out of DIY, or even the therapy takes her there, when she admits to herself it wasn't me. Well, not all me. At that point we can chat and see where we stand. So, my plan is to make sure she is not under too much stress, so no cutting of her money, but leave her to it for now. At some stage that will have to be revisited, but I know she will ask to meet before that happens. She isn't the woman I married, but I still know her. We won't go months without talking. So tonight, I'm cooking my dinner, then reading my books. Got a week full of work, meals out with mates, my car gets delivered on Thursday, and I have the dentist on Friday. Some minor cosmetic stuff that now seems more important. So, by Saturday I'll be looking good and feeling good. Okay, I crumbled. I sent her an email today, just saying hi, pity you haven't wanted to catch up. But I understand. Just want you to know I'm doing okay and hope you are too. It was longer than that, but that was the main point. She sent back this: I don't want to catch up right now. I have had a really rough ride and not been out very much. I've seen my friends lots, which is lovely and appreciated. I have sorted the kids, despite them constantly questioning who is texting me and where I'm going, which has been the shops and the school run. I would prefer to keep my weekends as mine, and yours as yours. If there needs to be a swap, then that's fine, and I'm sure it can be changed. I haven't had my family help either, so I'm getting stuff done on my own. I have been looking into the house bills and cutting them down. I'm having to pay $800 to close the gas and electric, and I need to be cautious with money. I will probably have to repay the child benefit too. I am also paying off one last credit card. I will manage $1,000, although not yet. I'm glad you're feeling better and getting out. Take care. The money reference is because our eldest had asked her if we'd be able to help her get a car. Anyway, I think I may have overreacted because I fired back with an email that basically said, hang on a minute, don't act like this is all over. I left so you could get better, not give up on us. You need to be trying, and a little texting or chatting on the phone now and then is no bad thing. Now thinking I should have just stayed quiet in the first place. Okay, development. I called her. I emailed first and said I would, so she had the choice to take it or not. She answered, I know, but just hearing her voice I nearly broke down right there. Anyway, hour and a half on the phone. She's doing okay. Very evasive about her feelings for me. I don't think she really knows how she feels, and she has been flat out busy, so hasn't had time to sit and ponder. She isn't drinking, which is great. She isn't seeing anyone and has no intention of doing so. I believe her. She isn't ready or wanting to date me. She suggested baby steps. I asked if a call every now and then was okay, and she said fine. I know this isn't the normal approach suggested on Tam, but she is in recovery and felt I didn't love her enough during our marriage. So, I think staying available to her works. She also suggested we go to our kids' basketball awards night next week as a family. Sounds good. So, baby steps. Do you know what? If we don't make it, but we're nice to each other and gave it our best shot, I'm happy with that. I've realized tonight most of my sadness was at how we last parted. Our 20 years didn't deserve that ending. Now I can put that to sleep. I've had a night to sleep on this. She isn't cheating. She hasn't been out since I moved out, alone. This Saturday is her first night out since I went, and she is driving. So not drinking, her best friend to a club. I know my wife, she is not going to hook up with some bloke while sober, with her mate in tow, while we are where we are at. She doesn't even want to date. Not me, not anyone. The last couple of years have drained her. She is shot. She hasn't missed me much, if at all, because she has thrown herself into the house and kids. And I'll give her the month to do that and not take it personally. She says good things, but also worrying stuff. Like the kids are not a good enough reason to be together, but sad, she's right. If I asked her right now, do you love me, she wouldn't have a clue. So, my plan is to call her in a few days to say hi and very gently explain that where we are right now is nowhere land. We are married but don't live together, business partners but don't see each other, share a house loan but split our money. It is only a place to be in while you decide to move towards D or R in small steps, so make a choice and step towards something. I want her back, but I don't want her back sad. If we could just date and see, that would be great. I just don't want to go towards D off the back of such terrible times between us, caused by drink, that isn't fair on our marriage. So, after being rubbish for 3 weeks, I have now gone dark. But, next set of my boys go to a basketball awards night and we are going together, as a family, mainly because I got my boys to ask her. She thinks it's their idea, although seems okay with it. It will be the first time I've set eyes on her in a month, after 20 years. So weird. Now what I'd like is to travel together, it's only 20 minutes away, and then get asked in for coffee, chat afterwards. Maybe even go for a meal with the boys after the presentation. But my friend said don't do that. She's told you too soon for chatting all month, so do that to her. When she emails to sort getting there, say I'll meet you there as I have plans afterwards. Be polite, but upbeat and positive. And let her and the boys go home alone. It's her weekend to have the kids. So, I think he's right, but wow, it's hard. After so long, the old codependent me would do anything to construct a situation where we are together for as long as I can make that moment last. So, travel with them and see if I get asked to chat, catch up. Or travel alone and leave her thinking that was odd. I thought he'd try and get us to chat, have coffee. We separated because she was a drinker and I codependent. We love each other, but we're ruining each other, not literally. But, since I left, I've felt terrible. It's like PTSD. And she seems fine and has surrounded herself with tasks to do and friends to meet. In fact, my kids are going mad that she always has friends around. They are, even the 12-year-old, annoyed that she is spending time on friends and not on thinking about the future. The one thing I still don't quite get, when she does start to make small steps towards wanting to chat, if I am too casual, unavailable, will she not think, well, forget it then? I thought he wanted to chat, but if he doesn't, I won't bother asking again. I'd pay for everything. She is a partner in my business, but only for tax purposes. She does about 2 hours work a week on the business. She has the house, a brand new car, and $60,000 of income. For me, I don't want to shock her too much because once she hates me even more. Or drink more. I suppose my plan was to ignore the money stuff until it's been 6 weeks of separation, which means 3 more weeks of me being very dark, and then say, okay, you haven't bothered to call, so let's get on with looking at the business. In other words, you're out of it. I'll pay for the house and kids, but get a job for your fun money. She emailed, I was in the shops when you called. Glad all is well. So, what next? The temptation to keep and letting her know things are changing is strong, but I don't want to overdo it. I am tempted to ask her to meet tomorrow after I have met the lawyer to discuss the results of that. I imagine the very fact I am going to a lawyer will freak her out. In fact, she is welcome to join me at the meeting. They offer a mediation service where they act for both parties, and that is how I'd like to do things. My wife won't want a legal battle, nor do I. I'll then call and say, hi, I meet with a family law solicitor this morning. Because we want to keep things amicable, she suggested we use their mediation service. When is it convenient for us to meet and talk through what that entails? My comment looks like OP finally detached in the end. It's not about affair or not at this point. It is about the love, and you can't force someone to love you. It is one of the hardest things to accept sometimes. You guys agree? Subscribe, and I got one more video for you after I finish making my iced tea.